No long intro for this one. Arcane Season 1 was 3 arcs of 3 action-packed episodes, so let's do a quick recap to even better appreciate Season 2. The beginning is quite brutal. During a failed rebellion attempt by the people of the Undercity, Vi and Powder's parents were killed by enforcers, and the 2 girls, along with Milo and Clagger, were taken in by Vander. Several years later, we see these 4 kids on the rooftops of Piltover's wealthy districts. They attempt to rob Jace's apartment, but things go wrong when they're interrupted, and during their escape, Powder drops a Hextech crystal she found, causing a massive explosion that basically alerts all the enforcers of the city. The kids manage to escape from the enforcers, but they're stopped by another gang from the Undercity led by Deckard, who tries to steal their loot. The 4 manage to get away again, but Powder has to throw the bag of loot into the river to do so. They finally return home to The Last Drop, the bar run by Vander. He is already aware of the ruckus they caused on Topside and scolds them for taking such risks, emphasizing that Piltover is off limits and that the enforcers are too dangerous. Vander then goes to Benzo's shop, where he meets Grayson and Marcus, who have started investigating the explosion. Topside believes it was an attack by the Undercity, not an accident. We learn that Vander and Grayson, the sheriff, have an agreement to maintain the peace between the 2 cities.
You keep your people off my street, and I stay out of your business.
Meanwhile, Powder realizes she still has the crystals she found in the apartment, and shows them to Vi, who tells her to keep them secret for now. In the final scene of Episode 1, we see Silco and Singed, and we get a first glimpse of the effects of Shimmer. Episode 2 begins with the explosion scene in the apartment, but this time from Jace's point of view, followed by a flashback of him and his mother lost in the snow, who are saved by some mysterious rune mage thanks to a teleportation spell. After the explosion in his apartment, an investigation is opened concerning Jace, who was conducting his experiments illegally, and he is imprisoned during trial. Heimerdinger visits him, and Jace explains that he was working on a way to control magic through science. Heimerdinger tells him that if he avoids mentioning this to the council, he'll be let off with a slap on the wrist. Jace tries to follow this advice, but ends up admitting under pressure that his experiments were aimed at creating magic. As a result, he is expelled from the Piltover Academy and is also kicked out of House Kierman, Caitlyn's family, who had been funding his research. However, his confession piques Victor's interest, who decides to team up with Jace to prove that his research is worthwhile. He was Heimerdinger's assistant at the time, and Victor finds Jace at his apartment, stopping him just before he kills himself, and offers him to work together. They stay up all night to find a way to stabilize the power of the crystals, eventually sneaking into Heimerdinger's quarters to retrieve Jace's equipment, and manage to achieve the first successful Hextech experiment in front of Heimerdinger and Mel, another member of the council. Meanwhile, the enforcers brutally continue their investigation in the Undercity. Silco contacts Marcus and offers him a deal. The situation becomes increasingly tense, and the residents of the Undercity gather to express their dissent to Vander, even considering a new rebellion. Vi confronts Vander on why he refuses to fight, but she eventually understands the dangers of a war with Piltover and secretly decides to turn herself in. She contacts the enforcers so they would have someone to arrest and stop the violence, waiting for them at Benzo's shop. Vander realizes Vi's intentions and goes to Benzo's to take her place as the scapegoat. He locks her in the back room and prepares to surrender. However, Silco arrives with Deckard, now transformed by Shimmer. He kills Benzo, Grayson, and the enforcers, sparing only Marcus, to whom he gives a bag of gold, before Deckard knocks Vander unconscious and brings him to Silco's headquarters. Echo manages to unlock the door for Vi, who sets off to find Milo and Clagger as reinforcements to rescue Vander. Powder insists on coming along, but Vi refuses. She leaves Powder a smoke flare, saying,
"Wherever you are, light it up, and I'll find you. I promise."
Powder is visibly distressed, but she remembers she still has the Hextech crystals, so she decides to follow them anyway and help them however she can. At Silco's HQ, we see that he is preparing for an all-out war against Piltover. They're making weapons and have a large stockpile of Shimmer. Vi, Milo, and Clagger manage to find Vander easily, but it was a trap. Vi puts on Vander's gauntlets to fight Silco's henchmen, while Milo frees Vander and Clagger breaks a wall for them to escape. They're about to get away when Powder's Hextech bomb explodes. It's her first successful creation, but it sets off a series of catastrophic explosions. Savika loses her arm trying to save Silco. The Shimmer is set on fire, and Singed is caught in the flames. The ceiling collapses on Milo and Clagger, killing them instantly, and the explosion alerts Marcus, who rushes to Silco's warehouse. Vander emerges from the debris to fight Deckard, but is stabbed in the back by Silco. He ends up taking Shimmer himself, which allows him to kill Deckard, but instead of killing Silco, he saves Vi by jumping out of the burning building with her in his arms. Vander dies in Vi's arms, and Powder arrives, initially proud because she thinks she succeeded in helping, but she quickly realizes that everyone is dead because of her. Vi slaps her and walks away to calm down. When she sees Silco approaching Powder, she tries to run back to her, but Marcus grabs her and takes her away. Powder, believing Vi has abandoned her, throws herself into Silco's arm, saying she has no sister anymore, and Silco embraces her, ending Act 1. Act 2 begins 7 years later. Thanks to Jace's experiments with Hextech, Piltover has built the Hex Gates, an intercontinental teleportation system, revolutionizing the city and making the rich a lot richer. Heimerdinger suggests that Jace give the grand speech for the 200th anniversary of Progress Day, and Jace and Victor, who have since developed stable Hextech gemstones capable of empowering tools for workers, plan to unveil this new invention during the speech. Mel encourages Jace to do so as well, mentioning that she already has numerous investors interested in his creations. Silco has taken control of the Undercity and has expanded Shimmer production to the point of using airships for distribution, but to oppose him are the rebel group called the Firelights. During an attack by the Firelights on a Shimmer shipment, we see that Powder, now going by the name Jinx, works for Silco. She loses control, kills several Firelights, injures one of her allies, and the airship catches fire, alerting the Enforcers. We find out that Caitlin has joined the Enforcers, and she tries to conduct her own investigation into the incident, but Marcus, now Sheriff and still corrupted by Silco, prevents her. In response to her mistake on the airship, Silco forces Jinx to take a break from operations. This drives her a bit mad, and she decides to carry out her own plan. She goes to Piltover for Progress Day, she sets off an explosion that kills 6 Enforcers and injures Caitlin, and she steals the Hextech gemstone Jace and Victor were going to present during the speech. At first, Silco is furious, but when he sees the stolen gemstone, he realizes it was worth it, and tells Jinx to study what they can do with it. To prevent risks related to Hextech, Jace is appointed as an additional member of the Piltover Council, tasked with ensuring the protection of the Hex Gates. Despite her injuries, Caitlin continues her investigation and goes to Stillwater Prison to interrogate one of Silco's arrested henchmen, but ends up meeting Vi instead. Initially, they don't trust each other, but Caitlin manages to have Vi released so she can assist her with the investigation. The two of them head to the Undercity, where Vi gathers information about Silco from her old contacts, leading them to Savika, now Silco's right-hand woman. They fight, and Vi is gravely injured, saved just in time by Caitlin's legendary marksmanship. During the battle, Vi also learns that her sister Powder now works for Silco willingly. Savika manages to escape and warns Silco that, contrary to what Marcus had told him, Vi is still alive and searching for him. Meanwhile, Jace investigates corruption related to the Hex Gates, accompanied by Victor. While in the Hexgate building, Victor has a vision that inspires him to create the Hex Core. The paths of the two partners start diverging. Jace focuses more on his role as a council member, guided by Mel, making deals with influential Piltovans regarding the Hexgates, and slipping into the very corruption he sought to eradicate. Mel and Jace grow closer, and eventually sleep together. Victor, on the other hand, dives headfirst into his new invention and tries unsuccessfully to stabilize it. He realizes that the Hex Core can affect biology, and believes he could use it to cure the disease that has plagued him since childhood, and is now on the verge of killing him. However, when he and Jace present their progress to Heimerdinger, the Yordle insist that they must destroy the Hex Core, even if it means Victor's death, for its magic is far too dangerous. Jace refuses, and even convinces the other counselors to expel Heimerdinger from the council to stop him from hindering their technological progress. He also orders a blockade between Piltover and Zon. Unaware of this blockade, Victor goes to Zon to find Singed, who turns out to be his former mentor, and obtains a variant of Shimmer from him to try to offset the Hex Core's instability and heal his body by combining the two. Meanwhile, Jinx is soul-searching. The Hextech gem brought back the trauma of the night she lost everyone she loved, but reassured by Silco, she eventually deciphers Jace's and Victor's notes and manages to stably harness the power of the gem. However, she also learns that Vi is still alive and looking for her. She finally uses the smoke flare her sister gave to her years ago, hoping Vi will come to find her. Vi is still injured and with Caitlin. The two hide in the sump of the Undercity, and Caitlin trades her rifle for a shimmer-based potion to heal Vi. However, Silco and his thugs find them, and to escape, Vi collapses a building on them. During their escape, Vi sees Jinx's smoke signal and finally finds her sister. But the reunion is far from joyful. Jinx still believes that Vi betrayed her, especially because of Caitlin's presence, thinking she only wants the Hextech gem. Before Vi can explain, the Firelights arrive, and a fight breaks out. Jinx is injured, and the Firelights capture Vi, Caitlin, and the gem. Vi and Kate wake up at the Firelights' headquarters, where it's revealed that their leader is Echo. Initially, he fears Vi is on Silco's side, like Jinx, but she reassures him otherwise, and helps Caitlin convince Echo to let her take the Hextech gem back to Piltover to present her findings on Silco to the council. The three head to Piltover at night, but Vi turns back, unable to abandon her sister again. When Echo and Caitlin reach the blockade, Marcus stops them. To cover up his collaboration with Silco, he intends to kill them and shoots Echo. Vi hears the gunfire and runs to help. Jinx, watching this scene unfold, feels betrayed again and triggers a series of explosions on the bridge. All the enforcers on the bridge are killed, but Caitlin, Vi, and Echo survive, although Caitlin is injured. Echo gives Vi the bag containing the Hextech gem and stays behind to confront Jinx. He gains the upper hand but hesitates at the last moment, allowing Jinx to detonate one of her grenades. Silco arrives on the bridge shortly after the explosion and takes Jinx to be treated by Singed, who warns him that the procedure will change her. But Silco accepts the risk. Vi takes Caitlin to her home, where she receives medical treatment and convinces her mother to arrange a council hearing to explain what is happening in the Undercity. They also realize that during the fight against Jinx, she was able to steal the Hextech gem back. Echo manages to survive on his own and encounters Heimerdinger the next day, and brings him to the Firelights HQ. In the middle of all of this, Mel's mother, Ambessa, a Noxian general, arrives in Piltover intending to guide her daughter and secure the Hextech weapons that Mel convinced Jace to develop due to the growing tensions between the two cities. Victor is against this, but is too consumed with his experiments on the Hex core. Using Shimmer, he manages to repair his leg, and motivated by his success, decides to attempt the procedure on his entire body to rid himself of his illness. Tragically, he fails, and his assistant Sky is disintegrated during the process. Devastated, Victor tries to destroy the Hex core, but he just can't, as it seems to have some degree of control over him. At the council, despite Vi and Caitlin's information, they refuse to take direct action against Silco, and instead choose to try to negotiate with him. Vi is obviously furious about this, but she noticed that Jace seemed inclined to act, so she suggests they handle it themselves. Jace agrees, and they set out to attack one of Silco's shimmer factories, with Jace wielding his new Hextech hammer and Vi using the Atlas gauntlets. During the assault, Jace accidentally kills a child, and realizes that violence is not how he wants to solve his problems. Vi refuses to give up, leading to an argument, but Jace leaves, allowing Vi to keep the gauntlets. Vi goes to confront Savika at the last drop, while Jace arranges a meeting with Silco, telling him he would agree to all his demands, including giving Zon their independence, as long as Silco hands over Jinx. Meanwhile, Caitlin is kidnapped by Jinx, who has survived but is mentally unstable due to Singed experiments. She also captures Vi after her fight with Savika, and Silco after his meeting with Jace, who has gone to convince the council to accept Silco's terms. Jinx takes all three of them to the place where everything began, Silco's old warehouse, and tells Vi that she would agree to become powder again if Vi kills Caitlin. Caitlin manages to break free, the situation escalates, and in her madness, Jinx accidentally kills Silco. At that moment, something shifts in Jinx. She fully abandons powder and reveals the Hextech weapon she created, firing it at the council building. Moments before the rocket's impact, the hands of Piltover's counselors are shown voting in favor of Jace's proposal, granting Silco his long-desired independence for Zon, unaware that all that no longer matters. If you want to know more about the hidden details or theories concerning Season 1 and 2, you can check out the rest of my videos. And if you want to find out more about Runeterra's lore in general, subscribe. I have a whole lot of information coming. Alright, see ya!